When Nintendo first announced Kirby Air Riders, it felt like the perfect comeback story. A modern revival of one of the GameCube's most underrated cult classics, Kirby Air Ride. The promise of high-speed pink puffball chaos on the Switch 2 had fans, including me, absolutely buzzing. An early previews painted a picture of a bold experiment, part racer, part arena battler, and it looked like Nintendo was once again pushing the boundaries of what a Kirby game could be. But after spending time with the recent global test ride demo, my excitement has turned into hesitation. Kirby Air Riders might just be Nintendo's most polarising game in years, and not necessarily for the right reasons. But if you like this video, hit that subscribe button down below for even more Nintendo content here on Power Up Direct. And if you've played Kirby Air Riders, let me know in the comments what you think about it. I would love to hear what you think. Well, at its core, Kirby Air Riders tries to blend two very different worlds. The pure pick-up-and-play fun of a Kirby platformer with the competitive physics-driven chaos of a high-speed racer. It's built around the idea of freedom, soaring across open tracks, gliding through the sky and battling for boost rather than just chasing the finish line. So you've got classic racing modes, but also sprawling arenas where you collect power-ups, you fight enemies, and you prepare for the final event. And much like a city trial from the GameCube original. On paper, it sounded like a dream sequel, colourful, creative, and bursting with Nintendo charm. But even early previews hinted it might be too ambitious for its own good, with IGN comparing it to Super Smash Bros. In its unpredictability, and Game Reactor labelling it as quite possibly the most polarising game of the year. There's no denying that Kirby Air Riders nails its presentation. Visually, it's one of the most vibrant and polished games on the Switch 2 so far, bursting with colour, personality, and that signature Nintendo smoothness. The sense of speed is very satisfying when everything clicks, and there's a clear effort to make sure every ride feels unique. From nimble warp stars to the bulkier battle-focused machines, the controls are simple but expressive, capturing that approachable charm Kirby games are known for. When you're gliding through a track with friends online, pulling off last-second boosts or colliding in midair, you can see the flashes of brilliance, that classic Nintendo fun-first energy that makes their best experiments so memorable. In those moments, Kirby Air Riders feels like it could have been something really special. Once you spend a few hours with Kirby Air Riders, the cracks do begin to show. Beneath all the charm and the colour, the actual racing feels strangely lifeless. The tracks are beautiful to look at, but they rarely feel engaging to drive through. Wide, empty, and lacking the kind of clever design or challenge that keeps you on the edge of your seat. There's a very little sense of progression or danger, and after a few races it starts to feel repetitive. You boost, you glide, you bump into a few obstacles, and that is about it. The AI opponents don't seem to push back much either, and the result is a game that feels oddly slow and passive, not exactly what you want from something calling itself a high-speed racer. Then you've got the combat layer, which is designed to add depth, but instead ends up creating confusion. Power-ups and attacks are flashy, but they often interrupt the flow of a race rather than enhance it, and instead of feeling like a thrilling mix of speed and chaos, like Mario Kart 8 at its best, the action feels disjointed, like two competing ideas fighting for space in the same game. And when you move into non-racing modes, that identity crisis becomes even more obvious. The exploration-based arena mode, which clearly takes a cue from City Trial, should have been a nostalgic highlight, a return to the free-form experimentation that fans loved in the GameCube original, but here it feels undercooked. The arenas are too large and empty, objectives are poorly explained, and the structure lacks a sense of build-up that made City Trial's finale event so satisfying. Instead of feeling like you're preparing for an epic showdown, you spend most of your time aimlessly collecting items without very much of a payoff. It's confusing, directionless, and worst of all, it's actually quite dull. What's most frustrating is that you can see what Nintendo is aiming for here, a game that breaks the mold, that fuses competition and creativity in only the way that they can. But somewhere along the way, the execution has faltered. The pacing feels off, the excitement doesn't last, and the result is an experience more exhausting than exhilarating. Kirby Air Riders wants to be both a racer and a sandbox, and in trying to do both, it doesn't fully succeed at doing either. Stepping back, Kirby Air Riders feels like a fascinating snapshot of where Nintendo is right now. Creatively restless, unafraid to experiment, but maybe a little unsure about how far to push its ideas. The Switch 2 era has brought a wave of bold, hybrid concepts, games that try to fuse genres, rethink controls, and deliver something that players haven't quite seen before. In that sense, Air Riders fits perfectly into Nintendo's current mindset. It's ambitious, it's colourful, and it's eager to surprise. But there is a difference between ambition and coherence, and this game seems to have lost that balance. Like Star Fox Zero before it, or even Wii Music years ago, one of those projects that clearly started with an inspired idea but got tangled in its own complexity. You know, it's hard not to admire the intent behind it. You can feel the team reaching for something fresh. A racing game that encourages exploration, creativity and discovery, and not just speed. In an industry that is often afraid to take risks, you know, that kind of design philosophy should be celebrated. But innovation only works when the fundamentals still feel good, and that is where Kirby Air Riders struggles. The gameplay doesn't hold together tightly enough to justify the big ideas, and the result is something that's impressive in theory but frustrating in practice. And that is the gamble for Nintendo right now. The company has built its legacy on reinvention, from Breath of the Wild to Mario Odyssey. It's proven that radical ideas can redefine entire genres. But Air Riders reminds us that not every experiment is going to strike gold. Sometimes being bold means accepting that few riders will crash before one really takes off. It is an admirable risk, but also a reminder that even Nintendo's magic has its limits. Do you know what? I really wanted to love Kirby Air Riders. It's got the personality, the polish, and the potential to be something genuinely special. But after playing the demo, it is hard not to feel let down. The charm is there, but the gameplay just doesn't hook in a way that Nintendo's best experiments usually do. It's a game caught between two ideas, and as a result, it never fully commits to either. For some players, that blend of chaos and creativity might be enough. For me, it's gonna have to be a pass. Maybe the full release will find its footing, but right now, Kirby Air Riders feels more like proof of concept than a finished ride, and that is a huge shame. Because in a world where Nintendo is known for turning wild ideas into magic, this one just doesn't take off. Well, let me know in the comments what you think about Kirby Air Riders. I really hope I'm wrong about this one and it does find an audience, but at the moment, I'm not going to be picking this one up when it releases. But that is it for this Kirby Air Riders video today, and thank you so much for watching or for listening. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for even more Nintendo content here on Power Up Direct. Thanks again, and I shall see you real soon.